Good afternoon, everybody out there, wherever you are in the world. I'd love to welcome you back to another episode of A Crystal Clear Mind. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I have a lovely guest on with me who's all the way in Ohio at the moment in very cold temperatures, far colder than we are suffering in England at the moment. And I would love to introduce to you, this is Adrienne Lombardi. She is a soul coach. Love the title, love the name. I think that's absolutely beautiful. But I'm going to hand it over to you, my lovely, to say hi and introduce yourself because nobody can do it better than you. So good morning. Good morning to you. Good afternoon to us.
Right, right. Well, hi there. First of all, thank you, Bex. I appreciate this platform to be able to speak and just to have this lovely, authentic conversation. For some of you that may not know, it's been authentic with Bex since the beginning, and I love that. There's no pre-planned discussion, no pre-planned. Well, these are the talking points, bullet points. It's truly like from the heart and soul. So I'm really
Yeah,
excited
no,
about that. Love
love
it. I
that.
love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So for some of you, if you're wondering, like, what is a soul coach? I get that often at times. And I think the best way to describe it is a soul coach is a coach. I bring you back to your authentic self, who you were born and made to be. And how do I do that? I do that by helping people identify limiting belief patterns, limiting thoughts, um, subconscious behaviors, subconscious thoughts that may block someone from being who they are authentically are. I provide my clients with skills to be able to not just identify their emotions, because I have a lot of very intelligent people that I work with and people can identify their emotions. However, what I've come to find just from being a human soul walking on this earth is that most people are unaware of how they actually process their emotions.
Yeah.
And many times subconsciously, yeah, they can like push them away, they avoid them. And our emotions, the beautiful thing is who we are. It is the first communication that we have as a baby out of the womb. So getting back to being aware of how, raising one's awareness of how they process their emotions, what the emotions are trying to communicate. All of this helps bring one back into alignment with who they are, their soul, their soul's purpose. And it's beautiful when my clients are in that space. So yeah, that's a little bit about what a soul coach is and what I do with my clients.
I absolutely love that. I mean, I think I could probably speak for everybody that's kind of listening out there right now. All we're looking for is that alignment, that really genuine, connected alignment with ourselves, what we are here for. And yeah, I absolutely love that. So, you know what? Although I've heard of lots of different variations of people working in similar manners, let's say, I've never
Mhm.
directly heard of a soul coach. I really love that as a title. I think that's absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's like very on the nose anyway, isn't it? This is what I do, this is really
Yeah.
it. But it's a fabulous title. So, I mean, this is a new venture for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I started probably just under 6 months ago. Before that, which I still am, I am a licensed mental health therapist. So I have years of working with clients. And, even before I obtained that degree and worked as a mental health therapist, I really was like, do I do coaching or do I do therapy? And I'm a bit of an overachiever. So I'm like, well, like, let me get the degree. Let me see what the scientific portion says, because that's heavily based on science. And they do sprinkle in a little bit of maybe awareness, if you want to call it. They're now leaning towards that with some of the new therapies that are out there to increase awareness. For example, I'm clinically trained in something called dialectical behavior therapy. And with that, Marsha Linehan, the creator, spent, and I just recently looked this up, so I apologize if I don't get the exact timing right. She spent either a month or 3 months in a Buddhist monastery to
Oh, wow.
basically, yeah, it's really neat. So she spent that time so she could learn kind of these wisdom ways of dealing with things because she had been working with 40-year-old females who were suicidal, and she was using your traditional cognitive behavior therapy. And what she found out, it was very invalidating because they're like, just change your thoughts. And I always joke with my
Right.
clients, I'm like, well, if it were that simple, if it were that simple to change, right, our thoughts, our behaviors, all of that, I'm like, I wouldn't have a job. Like, no one would need it, right? So, she delved into more of these Eastern practices. And when I first started, which was great, I was very much all holistic, you know. And then I went to a place that was only clinical based, evidence based, and it was really helpful because what I felt like it did was it gave me such a well roundedness,
Yeah.
you know, to understand because a lot of my personal research leans towards Eastern type medicines, more holistic type practices. Um, and so this really gave me a great foundation, if you will, a really well-rounded approach to working with clients. And I was really blessed. Like my clients would say, "You're not like other therapists," and I always knew that. And I always knew that because there are so many different techniques that can play into healing. I'm
Yeah.
going to speak to one that I know you are a certified Reiki practitioner,
Yep.
and that energy piece, it is huge. It's so cleansing and healing. I've been really blessed. Really close to me, there is this wonderful, she's a very spiritual and yoga practitioner, and she's also a certified Reiki practitioner, and it's none like it. You go there and it really does clear out that
Yeah.
energy because yeah. And so
Yeah,
what
it's very
happened?
tangible, very tangible.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
funny because it's such an energy. Show me
Yeah.
energy, right? You physically can't see it. And yet in some form it's this intangible tangible, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It is,
Yeah.
it's funny, it's exactly that. You can't see it, but you're very much feeling it, and you can, it's almost like you can touch it, isn't it? But you can't.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
it
You
is.
can you can feel it. A lot of people, they can tell you the energy they feel.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you can't see it. And that's kind of the really neat thing because I've talked a lot about this as well with some people that so here's the thing, like, show me where your heart is. Like, put your hand over your heart. People put their hand over, they can show where the physical heart is in the body. And it's like, okay, show me your emotions or touch them. You
yeah,
know, the heart is the tangible, the emotions are the intangible. Show me your brain. Well, okay, my brain's right up here, right? If I needed to, we could open up the skull and see the physical brain. Okay, show me your thoughts.
yeah.
So your brain, it's the organ that's the tangible. The thoughts are the intangible. And that's a really neat thing because, like, show me where your gut is. We can all point to our guts and, stand up. Here's our gut, right? Well, show me your intuition, right? Our intuition, a lot of times, is what we talk about, like our gut feeling, right?
Completely. Yeah,
Yeah. And that's what just fascinates me because, it's this intangible that is so powerful. And being able to kind of merge those two, merging it with and trying to help people increase their level of conscious awareness, right?
yeah,
Um, Learning their subconscious programming, um, being aware of even like I'm just fascinated with like neuroscience as well and neuro linguistic programming. And, studies have shown because sometimes a lot of people need to hear that study and there's research, right? They
yeah,
unfortunately need that. And fortunately, that's fine, whatever. There's no judgment. Um, but how we talk to ourselves. Literally what we say about ourselves, is so impactful because our subconscious programming does not know the difference, right? Our
Definitely.
cells, yeah, know this. So it's really interesting. Sometimes I'd like to joke with my clients, and I will joke like with my family too. If like my sister says something like negative about herself, I'll be like, don't talk about my sister that way. It just throws
I
them
actually
off.
I like that though. Yeah, no, it's good.
It
Yeah,
throws them off. Yeah, because they do when somebody says something negative about themselves, they aren't thinking about the external impact or the external like, what's happening externally. So it's like, "Oh, wait a minute." Yes, I'm referring to myself, but, like, my sister's a mother, so it's like, well, you're talking about somebody's mother now. You're talking about somebody's sister, you're talking about somebody's friend. So, like,
yeah,
when we yeah, talk about ourselves, it's so important, and I know our first discussion, we kind of got in the realm of, like, children,
yeah,
and that's why yeah, it's, like, so important, like, for parents to teach that skill to their kids, to be aware
definitely.
of how they talk about themselves, um,
Yeah, I have that
especially
conversation a lot with my daughter. More my daughter than my son because he's not the greatest one with his emotions, but my daughter, she's kind of embracing them and very aware of them. So we talk about emotions a lot.
yeah,
And, she'll come home from school, she'll have a bad day and she'll say, "Oh, I'm so dumb." And you kind of have to have like a real you say to her, "But you got to be careful here, because your brain is now believing you." So we go through why you're not dumb and then what's so wonderful about you. And you tell me what's so great about you because you're not this, you're not that, but you got to be careful. And I say to her, be really careful because the worst one for me is I can't. The more
mm,
you say to your brain, "I can't do this. I can't understand this," the more it just sits there and goes, "Okay, I believe you. You can't."
"I'll give you more," and it goes like this, "Here, I'll give you more of it then." Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
it is. It's fascinating, watching the kids grow up in a very much more of an aware society compared to what I grew up in.
yes, yes, oh gosh, just can't even impress that, absolutely, um, it's just amazing, I say, even my 20-year-olds, they speak healing amongst their friends. It's just natural, and, like, that's not what happened when I was growing up. We didn't speak
No,
healing,
no.
and yeah, and what I've, come to realize, and I'm so grateful, my oldest is very extroverted, so, like, I usually know what he's thinking, like, I get it all, so I'm like, "Whoo, this is great." My youngest is the opposite. He tends to be introverted and more quiet, and I'm just like, "Wow." So it gives me a great understanding of these 2, operational styles, basically. And specifically, like, with kids, and what I find too is when working actually with adults and kids, is to kind of validate what they're saying. So when they say something like, "Oh, I'm dumb," um, it's like, "Wait a minute, why are you saying that? Why do you feel that way?" So here's the funny thing, before I was a therapist and a life coach, I actually spent 20 years in education. And 10 years of it was in the classroom, and then about 10 years of that was more in, like, the administrative business sector.
Yeah,
And what I found is, my one of my first teaching jobs actually my first teaching job, I had this girl, she was like, "Oh, I suck at math," or "I'm horrible at math."
yeah. Hear this
And
sort
then
of a lot.
yeah,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Well, you just got a B on the quiz." And she was like, "So?" I'm like, "Well, if you sucked at math, like, you wouldn't get a B on the quiz." I'm like, "So do you really suck at math?" And it got her thinking, and it started to plant this seed of, "Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not as bad at math as I thought I was."
Yeah,
And she's like, "Oh, well, that was just one quiz." I'm like, "Well, still, that was a quiz. That was a grade in math." And we kind of continued with that. Like, whenever she would start saying anything negative about her belief, because it was a belief system about how she performed, I would challenge it. And she ended up getting like a C or a B in math when she would always get Fs. and she no longer believed that she was bad at math.
Yeah.
And I think that is the most important thing. When somebody makes a comment like that, okay, well, tell me, why do you think that? Like, what happened or what's going on that you think you're dumb? This actually doesn't invalidate what they're feeling. It creates like space for them to share what is going on internally. And so
Yeah.
you can understand their feelings, their emotions, their thought processes, and then find out where like the limiting belief comes in, right? Did she have your daughter? Because I think you said it was your daughter. Did she have a day like every human has a day where they do something that is just like maybe like out of character? Usually they're, on top of things, doing pretty well, and then something happens, and so then this belief, and these are how some of these beliefs get created. And so
It's
that's what
incredible. I mean, out of all of the beliefs, so
yeah,
I believed when I was a child that you had to, achieve and accomplish to, get your pat on the back.
yeah,
Um, and I'm academically not very strong. Doesn't make me any less smart. Like I very much feel that I have my own intelligence. I'm incredibly creative and things like that. And so it took a while and a shifting of mindset to realize it's okay. I'm not this, I'm that. But I
right.
did grow up feeling like you had to accomplish to get
Yeah.
your comeuppance, your accolades, your well dones and congratulations. So with our kids, we've always kind of gone the other way, which is don't worry. You just do your best and your best
Mhm.
is good enough. That's amazing, whatever it is. Don't worry. It's just a system that we all go through school, it's just if you're not great at it, I'm sure you will find along the way where you are amazing at something. Don't worry. And yet somehow our kids are the ones that come back and they're like, I suck at this. And you're kind of like, but we're the family that don't care. It's okay. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, you know what? And that's so interesting. So first, and so from my experience, telling somebody not to worry, and this is not a criticism for
That
you.
makes them worry.
Well, it makes them worry, but it also invalidates the fact that they're worrying.
Oh
Because
my God.
yeah, I know, isn't it just amazing? And this is like, and this is where like I love what I do, and I have such a passion for everything that I've learned and understood along the way. And, people don't realize that they're doing it. They're trying to be helpful by saying not worrying because as an adult, we know that worry does nothing in the long term. However, then why? Why do people experience worry? And and worry actually does something in the short term. So there's the short term and the long term effects of like these emotions. The short term effect of worry, it actually provides what we call a little bit of distress tolerance relief. So in the moment, if I feel like I'm sucking at all of this stuff around here, or I'm so concerned about all this, at least in my mind somewhere, I know that I'm putting some kind of energy towards doing something about
Wow.
it. Yeah, even though in the long term it is not helpful and produces more fear-based responses, right? And that's the interesting thing is most people don't worry that
Very.
on a yeah, on a subconscious level, it's actually providing our system something. That's why people keep worrying, right? And what I tell my clients, it's like, well, it's not like you woke up in the morning going, oh my God, I cannot wait to spend so much energy worrying about X, Y, Z. Like, we don't do that. Yeah. So,
Oh
and
my God.
yeah, and it's interesting too because that's such a beautiful stance to have for a family. And then when your kids go out into society, it's like, okay, well, that's not our value and a belief. So now you need to switch. And it's like, but wait a minute. Now I'm confused. I'm at home, like the programming says it's okay, it doesn't matter. And then I'm stepping into this realm. And whether it's the teachers, the school system, because I'm not familiar with it over in the UK, but I am familiar with America. It's you have to do it right. You have to do it right the first time, get it perfect. So it can be conflicting sometimes. Um, it
It's
can be, and
absolutely incredible. I've never thought of it that way at all. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you're absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
You are in your ability to undo your own generational background, I'm not gonna call it sort of the generational trauma, but you definitely don't wanna keep passing down all the mistakes. And then, you know, in our ability to change that, you're right, we've kind of just we've switched it. We've switched it for something else now. So we've actually kind of like inadvertently given her something else to stress about.
I mean,
Oh my gosh.
probably on a small piece, you know, because obviously what you're teaching them, because it's true, like people get out of college and it's like, or school, any schooling, right? And it's like, okay, well, what you did in third grade doesn't matter in fourth, and what you did in fourth, like it doesn't carry. You know, what I got on my score to be a therapist did not equate to my success working with people.
Yeah,
So in most realms, it doesn't carry through. So it's a beautiful, uh, you know, uh, lesson to teach. Um, and I'm sure it may be confusing. And this is the most interesting thing. All of our kids have their own path. So, like,
yeah,
your son might be okay, whereas your daughter it might be something different because everybody processes things so differently. And when I mention I have 2 kids that are an extrovert and introvert, I've been very blessed that my youngest, who is 21 now, has learned to understand his strengths. He's learned to challenge himself. This is a kid who when I was younger, I went through a divorce and he would go to my friend's house every day after school. She was like a second mom to him. And they got to the point where they didn't need a sitter, so they weren't going over there really as much. And then we ran into her like 6 months, a year later or something. And I was talking to her and he was standing behind me, um, like afraid to like see her. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, it's so and so, like it's like your second mom. So he was always very like reserved, could be in his
mm,
own little world. He's happy. Right now, he is a music major. He stands on stage, performs in front of people. When he was in
wow,
high s Yeah, when he was in high school, he was in the band, but, he's with, like, hundreds of other kids. Well, during one of the performances, when it was an indoor performance, he decided to step up and do a solo singing, and he wasn't, like, a singer, and it wasn't like this whole singing part, it was, like, certain, vocal movements, it was still a solo singing part, and, like, I just remember parents coming up to me, they're like, "Oh my god, was that my son's name is Rocco, they're like, "Was that Rocco?" Like, they were just so amazed because they know how reserved he was. So, the reason I say this is because through the course of the years, he has explained to me, like, he'll be talking to me, and he'd be like, "Yeah, so, like, this is how I think about it, like, when this happens, this is how my brain responds to the stimulus," and he might not use those words. However, he tells me, and so I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, that's how his brain processes information." I have an understanding of how my oldest process because 'cause I'm more of an extrovert, and I was like, "Wow, that is, like, way different," and I'm so blessed because it helps me now understand people who are more introverted and how they
yeah,
have to.
completely.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
kids are so great for that, aren't they? Like they really, they're just, it's like a constant teaching lesson after a lesson with them, isn't it? I'm always learning from the kids, always. And my son, he's just turned 13, and he again, not overly what I would call emotionally aware,
yeah,
or even that interested in being aware of his emotions, but even he sort of turned around the other day after I gave him like a set of instructions for something, I think it was actually directions, turn left, go straight, turn right, go straight kind of thing. And he just looked at me and he went, stop. He said, I need to see it. I
ah,
I
love
don't
it.
do great when it's verbal. And when you
Mm,
go, whoa, for someone that actually doesn't know
yes,
or understand his emotions that well, we think, maybe he does and he just doesn't let on. But when he did that, you're just like, "Well, that's an awareness that it
yes.
took me like 20 something years to work that stuff out, to work out what I needed that made me feel more secure, or I understood better, or how to learn better. And there he is at 13. And he's like, no, this is what I need. Can you give me that? And I'm like, yeah, I'll give you this map. And he's like, yeah,
Yeah. I
absolutely
love
love it. Kids are incredible.
they
They
are.
are so incredible.
No, I try not to feel bad for people. However, sometimes I do feel bad for some of the generations or people. I'm not even saying generations, but people who maybe criticize the younger generation, um, because there's so much to learn from them.
Yeah.
Are like you said, your son maybe doesn't speak his emotions, but clearly there's a level of awareness there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it
you
it
know,
took us really by surprise, kinda like, "Oh, wow." Like, there's definitely still waters run deep and all that.
yeah, oh, they do. Oh,
Yeah.
totally. When you sit with people, because like when you sit with them and talk at such a soul level, and this is where that soul comes in, you get to experience people. It's such an awe type thing. It's so awesome, because you learn who they really are. And for one to do that, they have to feel emotionally safe in the presence of the person to be able to speak that. And it's so beautiful, because then it also, like you said, can gives them that confidence. It just when somebody is totally aligned, they will speak what they need, their needs. It's not a question of if, how, when. They just do it, and it's so awesome. N self advocacy, like what your son did, just natural.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it is. It's beautiful, and again, that in itself, that sort of aligned speaking, it speaks to our brain, which believes you, it doesn't even have to think about it. And in itself, you're almost manifesting these things into motion, just by merely speaking it in such a manner that you want it, it's yours, you've got it. You've actually already got it, you just haven't got it right now. It's an
Right.
incredible concept. It is. And I love what you were saying earlier about sort of all this stuff that you've learnt and all this training that you've gone through, where you've got all of these avenues and these sides. Because I'm the same, you see, like I am very holistic, very, very holistic, and I have
Yeah.
amazing spiritual faith and so on. Um, but I love science. I may not necessarily always want to lean towards Western medicine, but I will do. Don't get me wrong, I will if I need to. Of course I will do. I would just love to use other things to support that system so it doesn't require it. But generally speaking, I love science. I love backing everything up with science. That's why I love the brain, I love the mind, I love mindset and things like that, because we honestly can speak anything into existence.
We can. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It is pretty amazing. Um, and that kind of brings me to gosh, it brings me to, like, 2 separate things. I actually just wrote it down over here because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, I wanted to touch on both of those," and this is also what I love, just when I talk to people, it's like, oh, I just get these inspirations, and it's our source speaking within
Mm.
us. When we talk about alignment, I think this is what is so cool because like we have our thoughts and our mind up here, but then we also have our heart. And what I find is that sometimes people, it's like out of alignment. It's
Yeah.
like, and I'll tell that to my clients, and they've even started saying, "Well, I know it up here." I'm like, "Yes, you know it here, but do you know it here?"
Yeah.
This is where our emotions and our thoughts need to be in line, and when they are, it's so funny because I'll a little plug for you, that's when we get a crystal clear mind because yeah, it really is.
I have to put it in air quotes.
I love it though. It's great, and I love that because I was like, I'm like, I just love the title, "A Crystal Clear Mind," because that's what people want. They wanna feel peace in their body,
Yeah.
they wanna be so clear in their thinking. And it's like, how do you get that? So like our gut, that's like our intuition. It's when we are born, the umbilical cord is what is connecting us to our
Yeah.
mother. It is the thing that provides us life. So our gut is also when a baby is formed and the belly is the first thing to be formed, then the heart and the brain is always the last. So our gut, our intuition, it's trying to guide us and it's trying to guide us through our emotions. However, if people are like pushing their emotions to the side, it's like, well, hey, it's like I'm trying to communicate. I'm trying to help you. The I who we are, our authentic self, is trying to communicate through these emotions. However, if somebody hasn't learned how to honor their emotions, listen to them, if they don't
Yeah.
understand what each emotion is trying to communicate, they may either not be listening or avoiding them. So then the
Yeah.
mind tries to take over, right? Tries to auto correct. And it's like, but there's this internal battle fighting itself. And that's also what I help my clients do to learn how to love all of your emotions because all of your emotions are part of you. You know, babies do not care where they're at. If they need something, they're going to cry. And if you don't give it to them, they're going to cry. They don't care. Like, it's like, this is my emotion. I am trying to talk to you. Listen, listen. Same as adults. Same thing happens. Our emotions are trying to communicate. And if we don't listen to them, they're going to get longer or louder, stronger, greater. We're going to keep hearing them until usually the body tends to break down as what typically happens. And this is where we get disease, dis-ease. You know, it's an emotional dis-ease that is occurring. And when it goes unrequited, then it just builds up in the physical body. Um, that's also where like that Reiki comes along. That can be so helpful to help clear it out, amongst other
Exactly.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so great. And then the other thing that also came up with when you were talking is manifestation. And, you know, I think this is something, I know that this is something that I've actually grappled with in a way. So I experienced what we call complex trauma growing up. Complex trauma is sustained trauma over a period of time. And when we talk about manifestation, it's like, oh, your thoughts create your reality. You do this. What I found was that when I was going through a hard time and my reality may not have been on a path that I preferred, I would start to shame myself, like I'm doing this to myself. And so this big shame piece would come in. And it was such an eye opener because sometimes it was so deep, I didn't even realize I was doing that to myself,
Yeah.
because manifestation is great. I love it. I believe in it. I've practiced it. I've used it. It's happened. It's been wonderful. And as I've done a clearing out of my own trauma, which is deep, especially for someone like myself, I'm a Scorpio. And so I don't know if you follow signs, but Scorpios, we're really
Yeah.
passionate. We are also really what we call sensitive or like sincere. And so if you follow Dr. Gabor Mate with the wisdom of trauma, he talks about how sensitive people, it's not a negative thing, but we are soaking in everything in our environment. And so reflecting on that, I'm like, that was a lot to soak in as a child. So that's
Yeah.
a lot to kind of uncover and release. Um, so as I've gone through those layers, that heightened awareness of, whoa, like, wow, I was really shaming myself. So then of course, like you talk about manifestation, well, then manifestation was bringing more of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took a lot to get to the point be so real and honest with myself, like to not, and then go on the second loop of like beating myself up for like trying to like doing this to myself because it was an old coping mechanism that I didn't even know was there because I was single mom, raised kids, worked, successful, loved what I did. Like I created like this really strong protection mechanism um that needed to actually be broke down to start to feel.
Yeah.
And in doing so, it was so interesting, like what came up and what still does. Because to be honest, we are always growing and evolving. Um, so this manifestation piece was really interesting. I really gained so much knowledge and clarity, more clarity, I think, regarding like what was going on in terms of that. Cause you do get all this manifestation. Manifestation is awesome. Um, and then I watched this video by Gabby Bernstein. I don't know if you've ever watched her before, but she's really big on
No, but
manifestation.
heard of her. Yeah. Never watched her though.
Yeah, so this video came up and she was talking about manifestation. And she said she was like in a coffee shop. I think she was going to be giving a talk or something. And she met a woman. I guess there was some time before her talk. And she met this woman and she was talking to her. And this woman was like, yeah, I just really, I want to eventually be married. I want to be in a relationship. I want kids. She's like, and instead, I keep seeing all these people. I guess a couple walked in that was really happy. She's like, see, I just keep seeing all these people and they're so happy. She's like, but I never get it, blah, blah, blah. And Gabby was like, "No, I forget what they call them. They're like little basically sprinkles of manifestation." So this woman had this negative connotation every time she saw somebody in a happy relationship or with kids.
Yeah.
And Gabby's like, "No, like," she's like, "That's the universe giving you little nuggets of love saying it's coming for you." And I was like, "Oh, that is so cool." So then I guess this woman and her, they went on a walk and she saw like another couple and and the woman changed her perspective instead of like, "Oh, look, they get it, I don't." It was like, "Oh, look, there's another sign that it's on its way." So
Exactly that. Just
yeah.
switch that mindset. Yeah.
Yes, and I love that, those little nuggets, because what you said before totally stood out. You said just because we, like, don't have it right now, you made I don't remember the exact words you used, but it was basically like, just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not coming.
Yeah, because it's almost it already belongs to you before you know you've got it kind of thing. Yeah,
Yes.
it was something my Reiki teacher, she sent me to watch a video called, The Egg on YouTube, and it literally explains just how it's all one. We are all one, and it's
Yeah,
almost like it's already all happened. It's
simultaneously, yeah.
already happened again,
Yep.
all timelines run at the same time kind of thing. Absolutely fascinating, an incredible piece actually. Um, it's quite short really to explain something so big that you do kind of walk away a little bit mind blown, kind of like, "Wow." But that has always then made me think, like when you kind of go, "I want," or "I wish," and then I
Mm,
kind of say, I've already got it.
yeah,
I've already got that, because I want it now. It's almost like going back to the future, isn't it? Like, I've got it already in my mind, means I've already got it somewhere else. So you
yes,
are kind of putting that into motion. It's almost like you're taking the step towards the thing that you already actually had. You just didn't know that's
yes,
the path. Now you're on it. It's
yeah.
okay.
I love it. You are already that which you seek and which you are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
beautiful. Yeah, I love that.
yeah. It's
Absolutely
a
love that. And I've always loved the law of attraction as well. I know a lot of people used it, for business and so on. And I'm happy to do that too, for my own businesses. But I personally just love it for myself and for people. Just that thought that you attract to you what you think about. You attract what you speak. So if you're going to sit there and say, "Oh, I've been so," and British people are great for this. Honestly, we moan so much. Like, "Oh, I've been so unwell. I've got this cold. It never goes." Mrr, and so on. You tend to find that you are just keeping it there. It just keeps going almost in a full circle. You almost get rid of it, and it comes straight back, and you've got it again. Whereas if you sort of go, "Oh, I've been a bit under the weather, but I'm healing now. I'm getting
mhm,
better," your body sort of responds to that. That law of attraction responds to that. That mindset just goes, "I
yeah,
like that. I'm healing. I'm going to heal now."
yep,
And I find it's not always easy. I'm definitely not going to say I find it easy, because you have to stop sometimes and pause and really shift that mindset. But
yeah,
when it does, as you very well know, what a difference it can make.
absolutely. Yeah,
I'm
and it's a
loving
little
your light at the moment. You've got some, like, serious, like, boudoir
bit
light going on. It's fabulous.
it's shifting and
It
yeah,
is.
yeah. So I know it's I definitely you can tell I don't have professional lighting, so I'm leaning on Mother Nature and what she's providing, so
Which is gorgeous, though. Honestly, you could have, like, a photo shoot done.
as long as people can see my face, if not, they'll have to see my essence, right? Just the essence of
Oh, no,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. No, yeah, I mean, I love I love mindset in general. I had to actually, stop myself today. I had a terrible morning. Just one of those mornings.
Yes.
Everything just tick, 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 goes wrong, goes wrong. We call it the burnt toast theory. I don't know if you've heard
Mhm.
that. It's where if you burn your toast, just pause a second, 'cause there's probably a reason as to why you're being delayed. So just stick with it. You never know what might happen.
Yeah.
So, all this stuff was going wrong, and I just paused and I went, "Do you know what? Let it be. Everyone's gonna be late. Everyone. I'm now late. The kids are definitely not gonna make the gate, like, it's okay." So we got in the car, and it's still going wrong, traffic and temporary traffic lights and God knows what else. And I just said, I said out, what I say to the kids? I said out loud, I think one of them asked me, "Are we late?" And I went, "Absolutely." I said, "We are so late. We are never going to get there on time." And then I just went, "Hold on a sec." Just hold on a
Yep.
sec. I've actually just damned myself. Even though it's
Yes.
probably quite factual, I couldn't change anything, but it definitely
Mhm.
shifted my way of thinking. So whilst I watched every other driver freak out and be mad and road ragey, there's just me kind of going, "No, we're all late. It's okay. We're going to be fine." And to be fair, I think in total, it was my daughter that suffered the worst. She was 25 minutes late for school. My son
Mm.
actually got in on time, so he was good. And I was 15 minutes behind on my appointments. So, you kind of go, actually, in the grand scheme, I think that mind shift really helps because otherwise it would have just been disastrous.
Yeah, oh gosh, absolutely, and that's also something that, like, I teach my clients because you ever see, like, a hamster wheel?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the hamster has to keep moving for the wheel to go.
Yeah.
If the hamster stops, the wheel's gonna stop, and that's, I think, what we call, like, that's the programming and, like, thinking traps that we get in. Because something happens, right? And we're like, okay, right? We might be able to manage one thing, all right? Whatever. Even if I'm a little vulnerable, like I'm a little tired, maybe, or we woke up late. Okay, I can handle something. Oh, and then, maybe we did burn the toast and now I'm going to make a second round of toast. Um, However, it's like a perpetual thing. So then we get
Yeah.
in this negative thinking trap and loop. And so then it gives us more, like you said, it gives us more of it. Those pause moments, I tell my clients all the time, those pause moments are huge, and you can take more than one during those times. Because if you take a pause moment that keeps happening, then maybe another pause moment is needed just to reset and say, wait a minute, I don't know. Because here's the interesting thing, even if it's 5 minutes from now, we don't know what's going to happen. Our
No.
mind, yep, pulls in all these stored memories. Oh, last time we left at this time, my daughter was late, I was running late. So then it pulls up that old memory loop and says, okay, well, we're going to be late again because this happened before. And it takes us to have that conscious effort to say, wait a minute, no. While this is similar to what happened in the past, so I'm experiencing a similar emotion, it is not the same. I don't know what's going to happen. And it's really interesting because I've actually used this before because time is a man made construct. Time is also something that can be manipulated. There have been times where I've
Yes.
left yeah, it is so amazing. There have been times where I've left my house and I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to be late. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know that. I have from now, and it takes about, let's say, 5 minutes to get to where I'm going, right? And I usually leave about 10 minutes to give myself more time. And I'm leaving right now. So I'm supposed to get there like right at the time. I don't know what's going to happen. And when I really go and I internally go, okay, no, I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just going to go. I'll get there when I get there. Everything will be fine. Then all of a sudden it's like, boom, green light, no traffic. Like traffic starts to part. Have you ever done this
Yeah.
where like all this traffic and then it parts? It's almost like the Red Sea opening and you just get to go. And then it's like you get to where you're at and you're like, I don't know how I made it. There is 1 minute. I have one more minute like before my appointment. And I
I
have done this.
love those moments,
Yes.
man. They're so affirming. I just love them.
Yes. Time and time again that has happened. And I'm just like, it is so amazing, yes, how powerful that mind is. We create these things. And this is the interesting thing because a lot of times we're not intentionally creating it. Many times, like, and this is what I've noticed when working with my clients, when I start to work with them, I really teach them about increasing their level of emotional awareness, increasing their attention to their thoughts and what emotions like are coming and what need isn't being met and like what is going on. So like on a day that you need more peace, on a day that maybe you just wake up and you feel a little frazzled, you might need peace. Well, the external world is now giving you the opposite of peace. Maybe you're feeling frazzled, you woke up late, and then you're trying to run around and get the kids ready and then you burn the toast, right? So it like severely burnt, so it needs to be made again. And it's like it keeps producing these things and many times it's coming from like a subconscious place.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Being able being able to increase that level of awareness, start to be more aware just on the conscious level, then what happens is the subconscious starts to come up. When the body calms, the subconscious goes, "Oh, we can breathe now. We can start talking. I can tell you how I felt. Hey, remember like 15 years ago when so and so did something? Well, that wasn't processed. So now the subconscious is trying to bring that up to be processed." And it's just so interesting as we keep going through to clear out all of these subconscious things because we're constantly creating and recreating and learning to reprogram the subconscious is huge because
Yeah.
that's what comes through in our mind and that's what we manifest. And many times, people aren't doing it because they want to, they're doing it from old pain, emotional hurt. Yeah.
Completely. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
And
are, and I say to people that the biggest thing that you've got to do with this is obviously once you kind of get into any aspect of this, if you are on any form of a healing journey at all, or you're just trying to create a beneficial well-being or a better lifestyle or whatever it is, and you get into any of this is it now. We're on a path that it
yeah,
doesn't really have an end. This journey doesn't have an end destination. You will forever just need to keep going back over these things. And that unfortunately, I say to my clients, I'm really sorry. I'd love to give you just all the wonderful news, but the shadow work is the most important thing. The thing where you look at those deeper, darker things because you need rid of that. You
hmm,
don't need to be walking around with all of that always there, controlling everything that you do. And you gotta do this dark, deep work. And it brings up so many amazing things about yourself that you didn't
yes,
know. Like, you didn't know,
yes,
like, it's me and I didn't know this, like, just it's fascinating. I don't think I've ever been more f especially not at school. I've never been more fascinated with the human body and the mind
yes,
than ever before. If you had said this to me at school, I'd have told you, "Sod off, I'm not interested," like, "Oh, it sounds really complicated." And
right,
I just my fascination just grows every day. It is the most inquisitive thing to be
yeah.
interested in. The mind especially, but the body is equally so.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, yeah. Uh, I wanna yeah, that's just amazing. I never realized actually how much I felt it in my body.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and the yoga practices help, the Reiki that I receive helps, um, stopping, meditating, just sitting and saying, "Okay, what am I noticing? What am I feeling in my body? Where am I feeling it?" And I think the most important thing when you do that, because it's the inner work, it's going inward, and I tell my clients, non-judgmentalness is huge. Do not judge the circumstance, do not judge the situation,
Yeah, and
or try
whatever
not to.
comes up,
Yep.
compassion for yourself, just yeah, no
Yes,
judgment. Yeah.
yes, yes. That kindness, that love, and compassion, because what's coming up is like the inner child,
Yeah,
you know?
completely.
Yeah, and what does that inner child need? I know that when I just had just a natural maternal instinct, and I'm so blessed for that. And I wanted to make sure that my kids basically got everything that I didn't. Um, and I think a lot of people feel that way when they have kids. And I'm not talking about material things. Yes, that was part of it. It was more
Yeah, but the
about,
love,
yeah,
and that connection and
the,
time
un-
and
the unconditional
yeah,
love. Yeah, the light. My house growing up was a very
yeah,
dark, heavy house, and so having like a light, calm, peaceful, fun house. There was a lot of energy. I see it in my youngest, how maybe at times there was a little bit more energy than he could have handled. But do you want to know what would happen? He would shut down. We'd be at the middle of his birthday party, and I'd look in the back, and he's sleeping on the couch in the back because there was so much stimulus. I remember one year, it was kind of towards the end of the party, but still people were over, and just being having that blessing to be aware of that was huge. Um, and then it's fun, like, this video came up of my oldest when he was probably maybe around 15, 13 or 15, and he had just gotten in from playing baseball. He was in his full baseball gear, and he was just having some kind of moment. Not like an but just doing the goofiest, silliest things. He was, like, laying on the floor, and the refrigerator was open, and I don't know what possessed me, but I recorded it, and I was just sitting there, and I just let him. I just let him have his moment, do whatever he need. It went on for minutes, maybe up to 5 minutes, and then finally, I'm like, "Okay." I kind of was like, "Alright, I think I had enough." We had probably just walked in, I may have needed to make dinner or something, so I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Take your shoes, go in your room."
That's
Like,
it, we're
"I've
done
given
with
you
that
your
now.
time to do that." And he did. He got up, grabbed his shoes, closed the refrigerator, walked away, and was just as fine as could be. Whereas most people might freak out, like, "Why are you laying on the floor? Get off the floor. Why are you making all those goofy noises and being goofy?" Like, just let him. Because whatever he
That was what
needed
he
to
needed.
that and do that, and it was just
Yeah.
like, I think that was the best thing. What do you need? Like, that was always it. What do you need? What do you need right now? Because most people maybe are not aware of their needs, um, because it's
Yeah,
more than
especially as a child, like, it probably is quite hard to work out because you don't know half the time. I mean, I would say that most adults that are dealing with that inner child, asking it what it needed from them, uh,
yes,
9 times out of 10, it's love and a hug, some
yes,
compassion and some care.
yes,
They weren't hugged enough or they weren't hugged at the right moments when they really needed it. You
yes,
know, yeah, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone, but I would say that as we are all growing up, we are definitely hugging our kids more. We are checking in on our kids more and doing what you said, just kind of letting them figure out a lot of this stuff for themselves whilst kind of standing on the sidelines, ready to be
yeah,
either the hugger or the support or the person that
yeah,
tells them it's okay. And I had a wonderful conversation on a podcast about sort of shedding generational trauma and
yes,
past mistakes and errors that have been made, which is not their fault. That's what they had to deal with. That's what they were taught. Not been taught. We've learned later in our lives, much later in our midlife kind of area, that we don't want to continue and perpetuate this. Not for ourselves, not for anyone that we're in contact with, and certainly not for our kids. And I think that's just absolutely beautiful, especially as far as, connecting it back to you. As far as a
mhm,
soul's purpose is concerned, I think that's incredible.
yeah, and that's it. It's amazing that you say that because I work with mostly adults, and that's true. Like 9 times out of 10, that's all they really needed. Yeah,
Yeah,
and teaching them how to go back and give it to themselves, whatever they needed back then, giving it to themselves now, being that healed version of themselves for that child because that trauma, yes, generational trauma, it is a thing. You were mentioning before when you talked about you're like, "Oh, I don't know if it's trauma." I'm like, it all is a form of trauma. It's not
yeah,
what science
yeah,
says has to be this horrific thing. I mean, at this point, everybody has experienced trauma. That's just, I mean, and it's on a spectrum. It's on a different level, and healing from that is so important. And how do you heal from hurt and pain? You heal with love, and
yeah,
yes, it does take a little bit more than love. You mentioned with manifestation, there's also like a doing piece there is that process to it, and I've met a lot of people who say they wanna heal, but when it comes to the actual doing, it gets a little too challenging. Stepping into some of those wounds can be really intense for some people. Um, and then there's also, being really mindful of how you also approach the shadow work that you mentioned.
yeah,
Uh, when, you can try to approach it, there are gonna be times where it's gonna be pretty intense, and then other times it might not be that intense. Actually, other times, sometimes processing some shadow work means you laugh, like, "Oh my god.
Mhm.
Oh, that's right. You know,
Yep.
I remember that. Oh, look, I just did it again. Oh, I'm just gonna laugh because
Yeah.
I know it wasn't intentional." So it's really our view on it, and how we approach it, and making sure here's the interesting thing, and this is popped when you were talking, is the people who actually struggle the most in the world were actually given, I think, the greatest opportunity to heal, and on some soul level, one of the greatest, what's the word I'm looking for? Tasks, soul tasks at hand to help heal that trauma.
Yeah.
You know, it's the alcoholics, the drug addicts. They're some of the most genuine souls that I have met and worked with and seen. The thing is, if they don't have the right tools to be able to process it, that's when they keep struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's about giving them the tools. It's about understanding what is going on. I think I sent the video to myself. I saw this one video that talked about what if, like an alcoholic or a drug addict, what if it's not this horrible thing? What if it's the greatest gift they could ever received? And I think when somebody can hit that level of awareness and lightness, people who have struggled with drugs and alcohol, they will say that. They'll say, "It is the greatest gift I've ever received." You know, and it takes a lot to get to that point to say that trauma we experience, people who were abused physically, emotionally, sexually, all of that, to sit there and say that was the greatest gift I could ever receive. It takes it takes a lot of being just conscious, aware, love,
Yeah.
kindness, healing to get to that point. Um, and it's also beautiful when one can get there. Um,
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely. And it's kind of where we all want to be, isn't it? There's quite the I can't find the right word at the moment. I want to say uprising, awakening, but they're sort of like the wrong words. A lot of people coming to this kind of conclusion that they want to grow, they want
mm,
to be better, do better, they want to be
mhm.
better for themselves, for their families. And you've got this lovely connection going on where people are using all these wonderful practices to become something more than the world
Yes.
was offering them to begin with. And that, yeah, I do agree with you. I think that it must take a hell of a process to get to that point. But those that have had it the worst are the ones that need to connect in more. They've got so much more to them to offer because of what they have experienced.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. Awakening is a good word. I think it is. It's a spiritual
yeah,
awakening, awakening of the soul. It's, you know, stepping away from conditioning
yeah,
to more
very much.
empowerment. Yeah.
Very,
And
very
it's,
much.
yeah,
It
beautiful.
is, it is. It's beautiful watching all of these souls awaken. It really is. And seeing that we're all light beings at the end of the day, we are much more than the world has conditioned us to be. And it's just
Yes.
wonderful watching everybody just sort of open their eyes for the first time and sort of go, oh, wow, I am more than this. I am more than what the TV tells me I can be. And,
Yes.
yeah, it's just absolutely beautiful. Well, my
Hmm.
lovely, it's been so fabulous having you on. I think we could talk for absolutely ages about this subject because it
Yes.
is just gorgeous, isn't it?
Yes.
Speaking about people's sole purpose is just fabulous.
Mm.
But it's been wonderful having you on. Honestly, you're just fascinating to listen to.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Gosh, I appreciate you so much. Gosh, just from the minute we met, I was like, oh, I love it. Yes. Like I said, I feel like I could speak to you forever. And that's part of my soul family. And I thank the universe for bringing us together. Like, it's
I
so
know. I love.
awesome. Yeah.
You got to love this, haven't you? If you want sort of proof of some sort of connectivity in the world. I mean, we are quite literally a very, very, very big distance from each other, aren't we? And
Yeah.
yet somehow
Physically.
here we are. Yeah,
Yeah.
here we are. on a completely same wavelength, talking to people that want to be on the same wavelength or are already on that wavelength. And, it's just absolutely beautiful. I
Yeah.
thank the internet as well. Thank God we can do this now. Like, it's amazing. Like all these years that we probably you could have done with this sort of technology, and now there I am speaking to the the fabulous Ohio.
Yeah, I know, isn't it great? I love it. Yes.
Absolutely
Oh,
brilliant.
so thank
Oh,
you.
well,
Yeah.
just thank you so much for coming on. It really has been an absolute blessing. And if you would like to get in touch with Adrienne, as always, I'm going to pop all of her details into the bio of the episode. So if you want to reach out, if you want to work with her, if you just want to talk to her, if you want to listen to some more of what she's got to say, just literally reach out, and I'm absolutely positive that she will be there for you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you, my lovely. And to all of you out there, until next time, take care of yourselves.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.